Hello. Hey. Hi. I'm Jack Forbes, the official Strand comic book guy, I guess. Hello. I'm here to introduce Dan Clowes and hey. Dan, yeah. And David Hadju. Hadju? Woo. For Dan's new book, Wilson. No? Okay. There we go. Okay. Hey, okay, so I'm going to give a short bio for those of you who don't know Dan Clowes. He's... I know, right? But for me. Yeah, of course. Okay. So Dan Clowes is the world-famous, internationally known, important cartoonist behind books like 8 Ball, GhostWorld, Ice Haven. No? Okay. Thank you. David Boring and more. And what you might not know, he was also Oscar nominated for a screenplay for GhostWorld. And he does a bunch of New Yorker covers. And Mr. Wonderful for the New York Times. Most recently, he's joining the likes of Mr. Art Spiegelman, who's somewhere in the crowd here. And, okay. And Adrian Tomine, who couldn't make it tonight. Seth and R. Sikoriak. Sikoriak? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Was that him? Okay. What else was there? For our world-famous Strand artist tote bag series you can see behind them. They're on sale downstairs. You're going to be able to sign some tonight. And, basically I think that's it. Thank you for joining us tonight. And, it's enough an introduction. Let's just hear them talk. That's what we're here for, right? And, round of applause for Dan Clowes and David Hadju.
This is Dan. I'm David. Is this coming through? Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Hello? Jeez.
Hold on. Is this thing on? There we go. That's Dan. I'm David. I'm very thrilled. Very thrilled to be here. First of all, Art Spiegelman is here. Here's Art Spiegelman, and right in front of us. And Adrian Tomine is also here. Where's Adrian? There is Adrian. Tomine is also here. So, okay. It's very excited to be here. And those of you who know me will be shocked to see a new side of me you've never seen. I'm going to keep quiet tonight. I'm not going to say that much. My role here tonight is to let Daniel talk. Dan or Dan? Dan. We're friends now. We've known each other for 35 minutes, so yes. We're very tight. So my function here is to ask some questions to Dan and that's all I'm going to do. We have visual aids behind us, and we're going to using by virtue of the visual, with the aid of the visual aids, with the help of the visual aids, walk through Dan's life and work, and these visual aids will prompt us to discuss said life and work. So let's dive right in with that.
And afterwards, I guess we'll have questions or not?
Yeah, we'll have questions after about 45 minutes or an hour. We'll open the floor.
No, that's too long. Nobody has that kind of stamina.
What?
No.
That's what I thought.
It'll be like 20 minutes. Let's breeze through it. Come on.
Okay.
Click, click, click.
That's what I thought. Leave them wanting more. But okay. So after 5 or 10 minutes, we'll open the floor to questions, and we'll have a group discussion and a clog.
Yeah, I don't have 45 minutes of material, I got to tell you.
I'm dubious. Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through this work, and I have some questions that are related to the work. So first of all, we're going to look at an image of it's a cartoon by one Wallace Wood, Wally Wood. And this
Can you see it at all?
Okay. Now, Dan chose these. Why did you choose this?
I was trying to come up with a gimmicky way to start this slideshow, and I thought, my world. That was actually a very important story for me when I was 15, and I discovered Wally Wood in Mad Magazine, and this was sort of the conceit of this story is that it's all these images that are sort of like sci-fi wet dreams for the uber nerd cartoonist to draw, being Wally Wood himself, who is this science fiction fan. And the writer wrote the story filled with, rocket ships, dinosaurs, sexy space gals, and all that stuff. And there's no real narrative to it. It's just sort of a sequence of these images. And then in the last panel, click to the next slide, please.
Well,
you will
before we do, there are no lights on us anymore, and we really want a light on Dan.
No, that's all right.
No, we really want a light on Dan.
My work will speak for me.
The images are secondary. We really want a light on Dan.
Nobody wants the light glaring off my dome-like head.
On Dan.
It's blinding.
So we'll keep going after there's a light on Dan.
Anyway, this is the last panel of the story.
Light on Dan.
There's Wally Wood. That you find the conceit of the story is that these images are all being drawn by this great man. And seeing that image at 15, I thought, that's what I want to be. I want to be a greasy-haired, chain-smoking guy sitting in a dark, dank apartment drawing comics and, living that life. And it just seemed so romantic. And he seemed sort of like the perfect role model. He was sort of this, the Robert Mitchum of comics or something. He had this kind of darkness about him that was very appealing. And but even though his comics are nothing like the kind that I wound up drawing at all, he himself epitomized what I was looking for in a career.
So, Danny, you wanted to be a cartoonist before you wanted to do cartoons. It was what you thought it meant to be a cartoonist, or to be that particular person, before what the work itself meant to you.
Yes. I think I did. I enjoyed drawing, but I really wanted to be a cartoonist and sit at the drawing board and have that be what I was focusing on.
Now, are you talking about Wood as a craftsman, as a journeyman, or as the kind of noirish figure that we now know him to be? And in what proportions? Did both of those sides appeal to you? Did you want to be this film noir kind of figure? And why was that? Who were you, and what was aspirational about that to you?
Well, I did think he was amazing. At 15, there's no better artist than Wally Wood. It's all the stuff that you look for when you're 15. The intense levels of detail and he seemed so dedicated. You just imagined, he was staying up 12 hours every night, drinking coffee and smoking and, working on these obsessive panels because he loved it so much. And I remember when I was a little older, I found some interviews with Wood, and of course he was very bitter, and all he talked about was money. They never paid me for that, and I never got, I didn't get the rights to that, and, somebody's getting rich off of me, and I really resented it. I thought, why does he care? He's Wally Wood. He should, that's enough. And now, of course, I'm exactly like him and only complain about money.
So that's what we're going to talk about. We're talking about money.
Yeah, right.
I really want lights on Dan.
No, it's fine.
What?
Everybody can see me.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
It bothers me. I can't see him. It bothers me. Okay. All right. I'm surprised to see that you had this affection for Wood's work, because his aesthetic runs so counter to your own. His work it represents this kind of Mandarin ideal of craftsmanship, and it's all about surface. It's all about skin, and your work is all about the interior world, about the heart and the mind. And you're not absorbed with craft in the way that he is. How could you reconcile that, your attraction to this work, with the work that you do yourself?
Well, as I say, I was attracted to it at that formative age, and I still have this. There's a visceral charge when I see it. I still feel that sense of there's an aesthetic beauty to it, but I recognize that he's certainly not a great cartoonist in terms of the rhythms and telling stories. It was very stiff and very, the panels didn't flow very well, and he wasn't concerned with telling a story in comics. He was concerned with the images within the panels, and as I say, it didn't necessarily appeal to me later on. But
at 15,
it sort of it had the charge, that kind of electricity that made me really excited about comics. And I sort of felt if you could somehow apply this level of dedication to something that was not spaceships or not this kind of stuff, that it would actually maybe be cool.
Okay. Well, I know that you progressed quite a bit from 15. I remember hearing that in an interview you did with Terry Gross that you said that if you were woken up in the middle of the night and asked your age, you would say, I'm 18.
That's probably, yeah. Now I'm up to like 25, I think. I still sign check. I still, like, when I'm dating a check, it's usually in the 80s. So.
What happened? How did you get from 18 to 25?
That's always the big question, isn't it?
That's
I mean,
why
how
I'm
did I
asking
get
you.
from 25 to 49? That's what I want to know.
But what happened in your life or in your psychological, emotional development, psychological development? You develop as an development as an artist that has taken you from from post-adolescence, early post-adolescence to 18 to full maturity of 25. Can you speak of? You're talking about a big jump, actually.
That's I think that's for my therapist to answer. I actually don't really
that's
have
why
an
I'm
answer,
here.
but what do you charge?
Here's Wallace Wood.
Here's this. I just would say this is the reality of Wally Wood's. He's sitting on a mattress with no bed in some kind of weird apartment with a pegboard on the wall. I love that. I actually this is like my screensaver on my computer, so I've studied it for hours. And I imagine he's writing an angry letter to an editor. Where's that $40 check you said you'd send me? And we can only wonder about the bucket at his feet. And the phone that never rings right there. Who took the I always imagine the photos taken by Wood himself on a tripod. And what's in that back room? We don't want to know.
Wow. Okay, you can do a book on that. It sounds like. So here's the boy who was so enraptured by that image, right? How old were you here?
I think I was about 13. That was when I started.
I don't know why you chose this. You just want us all to see what you looked like when you were 13?
I thought there was something about the contrast with Wally Wood, the innocence of the pre-cartoonist. I thought there's just something so unsullied about that guy. I was actually going to do a Photoshop thing of myself, like here I am now, and
I think you haven't changed.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Okay, why Jerry Ford?
He was the president. This is to show my age. I was. My point being with this one is that at that age of the previous photo, I was obsessed with Mad Magazine, and I really wanted to. First, I wanted to be Mort Drucker, so this was my early attempt at being a caricaturist, and this sort of resonates with my later work, where I often draw characters like Wilson, for example, staring straight ahead at the viewer, sort of making eye contact with the reader. And I remember actually working on this drawing at my grandmother's kitchen table and struggling over getting that kind of frontal face right. It's very hard to accomplish that. And I remember really swearing and damn it, why isn't this coming out? And so in a way, this is like the first progenitor of that later kind of leitmotif.
And when you say you wanted to be a mad artist, I know exactly what that means, and a lot of people of our era know what that means. But I'm not sure that everybody does, particularly people who've come up
nowadays. Is Mad's probably like a website now. It's
Al
like
Jaffe's still doing
thing.
those fold-ins. So
is he really doing fold-ins?
He's still doing fold-ins in the current issue.
How could you still
what did
have
that
ideas?
mean to you then? Why did you want to be a mad artist? Why?
It was actually funny when I was that age. It just seemed like the greatest thing in the world. Even though I was not reading the real Mad magazine, the Harvey Kurtzman. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I was reading the Al Feldstein version that came after that. That had parodies of Fiddler on the Roof and all these mainstream things my parents would have known and I didn't at all. But something about it was very appealing. That